Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. A very good morning to everyone. Welcome to the live webinar. Today we are here to learn more about Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship. And our webinar, tajuk dia Membentuk, Bakat, Terunggul Negara, or in English, Shaping the Nation's Best. Today we are very fortunate to be joined by a lineup of remarkable, talented young speakers and panelists who will share their experience being Bank Negara Malaysia Scholar. First of all, let me take this opportunity to mengucapkan ribuan tahniah kepada semua pelajar lepasan SPM yang baru mendapat keputusan pada hari Khamis lepas. Before I move on, let me first introduce our panelists for today. So, ladies first always, let me start by introducing the fine young lady in the middle, Alicia. Alicia hails from Subang Jaya, Selangor, and she went to the University of Pennsylvania in the United States of America on the Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship. Welcome, Alicia.
Hi.
And next, the fine gentleman beside me here, Haikal. Hi, Haikal.
Hello.
So, Haikal hails originally from Penang, my hometown, and he did economics at the University of Warwick. And last but not least, the fine gentleman at the end there, you might recognize him from the posters that we posted on the social media promoting the Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship. He is Su Zan Hui. Su is originally from Ipoh, Perak, and he went to the University College London in the United Kingdom. Welcome everyone, and thank you for spending your Saturday morning to share with our friends out there. Today we are joined not only by SPM leavers, but we also have interested applicants who want to hear more about how they can increase the chances of getting the Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship. And saya yakin kita juga turut serta juga ibu bapa dan juga para guru yang ingin belajar mengetahui lebih lanjut tentang Bank Negara Malaysia. Before we start, let me just remind all of you yang berminat untuk bertanyakan soalan, anda boleh meletakkan soalan dalam comment box. We are live broadcasted in Facebook Live and also LinkedIn Live. Letak saja soalan anda dan tim saya di sini, studio Kijang Bank Negara Malaysia akan address soalan-soalan itu dan kita akan cuba untuk menjawab soalan itu live in our event today. Now, before we begin, allow me to give short introduction of Bank Negara Malaysia. So, I think everyone knows Bank Negara Malaysia prints money for the country. So all the ringgit notes that we have in our wallet are printed by Bank Negara Malaysia. But surely all three of us here, four of us here are not. We don't just print money. We actually do more than that. So Bank Negara Malaysia, when it was established in 1959, we had a special mandate, which is to preserve the monetary and financial stability. Tapi lebih dari itu, we do more than that. We advance the financial sector development agenda. We advance the financial inclusion agenda, and also we oversee the national payment system. And furthermore, we are also the government's banker and advisor in terms of macroeconomic policies and management of public debt. And we also manage the international reserves. So we actually do a lot more than that. Bank Negara Malaysia as an organisation is made up of about 40 different units and departments. And we are present bukan sahaja di Kuala Lumpur tapi di Pulau Pinang, Johor, Kuala Terengganu, Johor Bahru, Kota Kinabalu dan juga serata dunia di New York, London dan juga Beijing. Moving on, let me talk a bit about our scholarship program. Tahukah anda, Biasiswa Bank Negara Malaysia telah ditubuhkan sejak tahun 1962. Ini bermakna beasiswa kita sudah diterima oleh ratusan malah beribu individu yang berbakat, our nation's best talent since 60 years ago. Can you imagine that? So for this round, our focus will be on these two scholarships. Firstly, the Kijang Scholarship program, which is available for individuals who have just completed their SPM recently. And this scholarship will enable them to pursue the pre-university programs in selected colleges, which I will talk a bit later. And the minimum requirement for this is to get a minimum of 8 A's, A plus dan juga A di dalam subjek mata pelajaran dalam SPM. dan individu yang ingin memohon ke beasiswa Kijang ini perlulah berumur kurang dari 19 tahun. Next, we also have the Undergraduate Scholarship, which we offer for individuals who have received offers or are currently pursuing their undergrad studies in the bank's approved universities, which I will also touch on a bit later. And the requirement are stated in the slides that you can see on your screen right now for STPM, for diploma matriculation, Australian matriculation, ADP, minimum CGPA, and also SPM. And for this scholarship, umur anda perlulah tidak melebihi 25 tahun. Those are just the academic requirements. But what we are looking for in our scholars, for you to have a strong leadership skills, proven teamwork capabilities, and also perform well in extracurricular activities. Basically, we are looking for all-rounded individuals who are also good in interpersonal and communication skills. So, what does this scholarship entail? Scholarship from Bank Negara Malaysia merupakan biasiswa penuh yang merangkumi tuition fees, living allowance, laptop allowance, book allowance, basically semualah, tak perlu spend any more money kalau dapat Bank Negara Scholarship. Just focus on doing your best in your studies and we will do the rest. And in fact, we will tell you about how Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship also has guaranteed employment. So moving on, the courses that we sponsor students are these 9 courses that you can see on the screen. Economics, accounting, finance, actuarial science, law, mathematics, statistics, data science, and computer science. A very popular question is that, do we sponsor for medicine, for engineering, for pharmacy or other science-related courses? Unfortunately, the answer is no. We only sponsor for these courses because you will be joining Bank Negara Malaysia, and these are the relevant courses for us right now. Moving on, as I mentioned earlier, our recipients of the Kijang Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship will be sent to these 6 preparatory colleges. So one good thing about this scholarship is that you get to choose which college you want to go to and which preparatory programs you want to pursue and which country you want to study at. So we have these 6 colleges who offer Cambridge A-level program, American degree program, Australian matriculation, international baccalaureate. So I think it is a very attractive part of scholarship, whereby other scholarships may dictate which program and college you have to go to, but in Bank Negara Malaysia, we present you the options. Moving on, I would like to share a bit on the universities that approve in our list. So, universiti ini adalah disenaraikan berdasarkan ranking top universities in the world, dan tak semua universiti ini adalah diterima untuk kesemua courses. So, baseline is that for each courses that you apply to, there are a list of universities that you can go to, and all this information I'm telling you are available di Sesawang Bank Negara Malaysia in our official website. You can log into our website and look at all this information. So these are the UK universities. I will also show you the US universities. There are slightly more, and I'm sure these names are very familiar to students, probably childhood dreams to some of you. Harvard, MIT, Princeton, University of Michigan, UPenn, Columbia, and so on and so forth. And other than UK and US, we also send our scholars to Australia and Malaysia. For Malaysia, our undergrad students who are currently in these universities may apply to the Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship, and we will fund your studies as well. So I guess the question on everyone's mind, semua orang pasti tertanya, what are we actually looking for in our future scholars? How can they increase their chance of getting the Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship? And here we list down the top 3 qualities that we look for in our future scholars. Pertamanya, kecenderungan, inclination, a very strong inclination to pursue the chosen field of study. So you have to prove to us that you are passionate, you want to do the course that you choose, whether it's economics, finance, actuarial science, law, and so on and so forth. And secondly, besides academic, besides your involvement in co-curricular activity, we want to see you as a person. Apakah perwatakan anda? Adakah anda mempunyai ciri-ciri dan nilai yang kita pentingkan dalam Bank Negara Malaysia in terms of EQ, integrity, and so on and so forth. And lastly, we want to see your commitment. We know as a 17, 18-year-old is too soon for you to decide your career path, but we want to see that drive, that you really want to serve in bank and you really want to make a difference in Bank Negara Malaysia. Let me now walk you through the process flow and timeline for our application process. Umum mengetahui permohonan untuk Bank Negara Malaysia sudah pun dibuka pada 16 Jun, tarikh yang sama SPM result telah dikeluarkan, dan kita punya permohonan akan kekal buka selama 10 hari, akan tutup pada 26 Jun nanti. Dan saya ingin tekankan di sini bahawa sebarang permohonan yang lewat tidak akan kita consider. So please make sure that you apply within this 10-day period. So next, shortlisted candidates from the applicants will be contacted to submit a document. So please remember, do not flood our emails with your SPM slip results, all your co-curricular CCJ anda. Kita akan contact anda dan kita akan berhubung melalui email. Dan seterusnya, shortlisted candidates will also be asked to undergo psychometric test and also submit video. Here is where we want to see your creativity and your critical thinking skills. In mid-July, successful shortlisted applicants will be invited physically to the Bank Negara Malaysia campus to be assessed in our assessment center. It's a whole day event. We will test you on both your group thinking, teamwork thinking, and also individual interview with selected high-performing staff of Bank Negara Malaysia. And inshallah by August, you will hear back from us on the decision and the final offer made. Let me now go through a bit on our application system. Saya tahu mungkin ramai di luar sana yang berminat untuk apply dan sudah memulakan permohonan. Bagi yang belum memulakan permohonan, masih ada masa lagi. Kita ada berbaki lebih kurang 8 hari lagi untuk anda submit permohonan dalam sistem Kijang Scholarship kita. So untuk dapatkan akses ke kita punya permohonan, cuma perlu pergi ke website Bank Negara Malaysia seperti tertera di skrin anda dan register account. For first time user, anda akan dapat email dalam inbox, temporary email, password, gunakan password itu, tukar password ke password yang diingini, dan make sure that you choose the right scholarship program, whether you are pre-U candidate which have just done your SPM, or you are undergraduate applicant who wants to pursue undergraduate studies. Next, I would also like to make a disclaimer that there is a portion where you will ask your chosen field of studies. You have a choice whether you want to choose the same course for each the first and second, if you're very confident that you want to do that course, or you may choose a different course for the first and second choice. However, for certain courses, untuk sesetengah mata pelajaran, hanya selected country saja yang boleh dipilih. Contohnya, kalau adik-adik ingin apply kepada subjek accounting, for example, you may not choose to go to United States because technical reasons, the accounting and taxation treatment is different than what we use in Malaysia. So just to alert that that is not an errand system, but some courses only allow you to go to certain universities. Okay. Next, I would like to give some general advice for applicants. Please ensure that kesemua informasi yang adik-adik letakkan dalam information tu semuanya tepat dan complete and sedetail as possible, terperinci as possible. And secondly, please don't forget to click save. You will see a save button at every page so that your information will not be lost. Thirdly, when you're filling up the co-curriculum and sports activity portion, please make sure that you prioritize, letakkan aktiviti yang paling banyak achievement atau posisi tertinggi yang adik jawab di sekolah itu dalam top of the list, so that we can prioritize and it increases your chance of getting shortlisted in our application system. And fourthly, make sure that in your essay you adhere to the word limit. If you go over the 600 word limit, it may make your assessors lose interest in your essay, and kita tak nak benda ini berlaku. There are two parts of the essay. There are two questions in the essay. If you read carefully, make sure you address both, because we take this very seriously. We want to hear from you on both parts. So make sure to answer the essay as accurate as possible within the word limit. And lastly, If you require any assistance, technical assistance, kalau ada masalah ke, gunakan email tertera di skrin anda, profiling@bnm.gov.my. So I think I've spoken enough on the application system. So those are general advice. But here we have today in the studio 3 scholars who have made it. They've went through the process, they've gotten the scholarship, they've went to top university, and now they're back in Bank Negara Malaysia. So I want to ask all of you here, what would be your top tips for our applicants? Maybe I can start with Haikal.
Sure. I'm pretty sure a lot of the people out there who are thinking of applying are questioning themselves like, what should I do, right? But I think first and foremost, make sure you start early. Jangan procrastinate. Continue your research, especially if you're not very sure on the field of study that you want to do. Start early so that you are able to research on the proper content of the field, so that it prevents you from fumbling during the interview, and also jangan goreng sangat lah, because I think the assessors can really see through that. I think another tip for the applicants is make sure you go into the application process with an open mind. Not necessarily like if you don't get it at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, 100%. I believe that the universe will always have a plan for each and every one of us. And also, it might not be the course that you wanted to pursue all this while. So just make sure to have an open mind, and inshallah everything will go smoothly.
Thanks, Haikal. I think that's a really useful tip. I myself was a procrastinator, but I think that's helpful in the application system.
Yeah.
Alicia, maybe a word or two from you?
Oh yeah,
tips?
sure, definitely. So I think that one really useful tip someone else gave me was to be your best self and your most genuine self. Like, there's no point putting up a fake front in front of the interviewers because they'll be able to see through it. So what you want to do is leave a positive and lasting impression, because you're also competing against other very bright students within the nation. Another thing I would say is also when you're called upon to talk about your achievements, don't just list down things that you have done. For example, just saying, oh, I was president of this club in Coco at my school. Maybe say that as president, what kind of initiatives you did, or anything like that. Yeah.
Right. Maybe Sue, a few words from you.
Yeah. So for me, I would say that get advice from your seniors, from your parents. So I think the senior part is the most important part. So I'm sure most of you come from really good schools, even if it's a day school. I'm pretty sure there are scholars in the past from your school as well. So you can reach out to these people and ask them really for what's the whole application process is like, and what are some of the things that you need to focus on, and just generally how the process has been for them. What are some of the problems that they face, some of the more challenging things that they've gone through during the thing, and yeah, to really get as much information as possible, and then to be prepared to face something similar, if not the same. Another thing that I would like to stress is that the language barrier is not something that you should be too worried about. We do allow scholars to speak in BM during the assessment itself. So if you feel that you're more comfortable to speak to the assessors on that day in BM, that is something that you are allowed to do. And so really just to stress that the English part is not really a deal breaker in scholarship. The most important thing for me though is really just on the clear communications part. So it really is about on how you can get your message clearly during those process, and key communication is the key to your success. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
I think it was a good point brought up by Sue, right, is one where you don't have to come from an SBP to be an applicant. Tak semestinya if you come from a daily school, there's going to be less chance for you to dapat the scholarship. Actually, all three of us come from daily schools, so it's not an uneven playing field. So jangan risau. Yeah.
I think that's a very useful tip and information to everyone, adik-adik yang dekat luar sana, sebab semestinya Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship beasiswa kami telah berada di dalam telah di offer like 60 years ago. We have so many applicants from various background, and most importantly apa yang kami lihat adalah meritokrasi, kebolehan keupayaan adik-adik yang telah menunjukkan prestasi yang baik dalam SPM, dan kami ingin melihat bagaimana adik boleh membawa additional value add ke Bank Negara Malaysia dan membuat impact kepada negara kita yang tercinta, iaitu Malaysia. Before I move on, let me remind you, if you have any questions, you need more info, you can just go to the website that is, I think is here, terpampar di sini, bnm.gov.my/scholarship/career/scholarship, dan sebarang pertanyaan bolehlah merujuk email kepada tim kami di Bank Negara Malaysia, profiling@bnm.gov.my. Okay, next maybe kita boleh move on kepada soalan-soalan yang untuk para panelis share dengan adik-adik kita punya penonton di luar sana. Maybe I can start off with Haikal. So we know that all these SPM high achievers, they have a lot of options. So many corporates, even government agencies, even government themselves who offer banyak program tawaran beasiswa pembiayaan. But I'm sure you yourself receive a few offers. But what made you choose the Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship? What made you choose to be a Bank Negara Malaysia scholar?
Okay, thank you for the question, Izwan. I think that's a really good question. Let me start off by saying that mungkin bunyi cliche a bit, tapi I've always wanted to serve the country, and my principle is that I want to make an impact to the society. So to be honest, I actually grew up wanting to be a neurosurgeon, and all my life I've always been interested in medicine, and memang saya minat lah anything about the brain. So I really wanted to be a neurosurgeon, and after SPM, just like all the other candidates, I applied for every single scholarship that I could, and most of them were in different fields. Tak semua sama sebab not every scholarship body offers the same course, right? So Alhamdulillah, at the end of the day, saya dapat a few options to choose from, and one of them was for medicine. But at the end of the day, I did take some time untuk nak weigh out the pros and cons, discuss with my parents, with my teachers, and I concluded that being able to be attached at the bank with a stable job and also serving the country was an opportunity and a luxury that I really couldn't pass on. Also, I feel like Bank Negara as a prestigious institution, you get to have a direct hands-on experience on changing the lives of people through the policies and ideas that you discuss and you create at the bank. So at the end of the day, I concluded that Bank Negara was the best choice for me in terms of job stability and also banyak peluang yang kita ada dekat bank untuk nak pursue different things. Also, just to share with you, I also did perform solat istikharah as advised by my parents, and at the end of the day, my heart landed on Bank Negara. Yep. So that's how I chose Bank Negara.
Thanks Haikal for sharing that experience, and I think from our own pengalaman sendiri, our personal experience, when dekat sekolah, sometimes adik-adik tak boleh pilih nak buat jurusan apa. So I myself and all of us here in fact did pure science stream. But looking at the list of courses yang kita taja di Bank Negara Malaysia, tak ada pun lah pure science degrees kan. Jadi bagaimana Haikal buat keputusan untuk apply to Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship, knowing that Haikal tak buat pun ekonomi asas atau accounting as part of paper, and I'm sure a lot of people out there in the same boat as you, but they are scared of are my options limited to just medicine, engineering? So what would be your advice and what's your experience to pivot into a completely different education system that you didn't go through masa Haikal kat sekolah dulu?
Good question, Izwan. So I think going back to what I said tadi, my principle was I wanted to serve the nation, and so being a doctor, obviously you get to save lives and whatnot. But at the end of the day, being an economist at Bank Negara, you are able to, as I said, craft policies that actually have a direct impact on people's well-beings. So it stands by my principle of serving the society. Yes, masa saya apply untuk scholarship ni, memang saya tak tahu langsung pasal econs at all, because as you said, we all did pure science here. But as anyone would have done, I did a lot of research, started early, And saya dapat tahu yang econs ni sebenarnya ada banyak cabang in the field. So you have monetary econs, you have health economics, you have environmental economics, you even have the digital economy. You also have behavioral economics, which relates to psychology and, again, the brain. So yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities, and it's a very multifaceted field. Furthermore, I remember masa saya tengah buat research untuk medicine, I stumbled upon this article that said that there's actually there's an influx of doctors, of people who want to be doctors in Malaysia. And upon further research, saya dapat tahu untuk nak jadi seorang specialist, dia mengambil masa selama lebih kurang 17 tahun. And that's a very, very long time. So, you know, like personally, my parents are getting old and I'm the only child. So they want to see me settle down and have kids. So it's a bit, hard for me to pursue that field lah, with the circumstances that I was in. But was it a hard transition? At first, yes, because of the reasons that I stated. Also, I remember another story to share. My parents actually gifted me this one book. It's a complete handbook on the human anatomy. So, on the first page, ayah saya dia tulis something along the lines of, "Dear son, we hope that you would be a fine doctor one day and get to save many lives." So, it was a very hard transition at first, I will say. But Alhamdulillah, actually my parents were the ones who influenced me to change my field of study. And because they were in full support of it, Alhamdulillah, it was easier lah to make that transition. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point about being open and really strategizing, because adik-adik sekarang dah baru habis SPM, titik permulaan yang sangat bermakna, di mana keputusan yang adik-adik buat sekarang ni akan menentukan 10-20 tahun yang akan datang. Jadi buatlah percaturan tu dengan bijak sekali, cakap dengan orang yang lebih pengalaman, and it's a good starting point that you watching to this webinar. If you find this useful, please share this event with your friends, your neighbours, yang jiran, kawan-kawan yang mungkin dapat manfaat daripada webinar ini, dan recording of this event will also be made available in YouTube and all our social media platforms. Moving on, maybe I can get Alicia to speak a bit on when people think about the Bank Negara Malaysia Scholar, such a glamorous title, right? But I think once the excitement dies down from my experience, and you know, oh yeah, I got a scholarship, but then wow, I need to really get into this one of top universities that we've seen, you know, like really top universities in the world, childhood dreams. So what was the journey like for you, Alicia, given these expectations, and how do you handle those so-called pressure and yeah?
I think I would just preface, personally, my journey was not always smooth sailing all the time, but I think the most important part about and great benefit of the Bank Negara Scholarship is the support system that it gives you actually. So there's two parts of this. One part is the bonds that you create with your seniors and also peers, and another is the support through the scholar development programs that the bank organizes. So my journey as a scholar actually began at College Tuanku Jaafar, KTJ, where I did my A-levels. In that school, there is a very strong culture of senior tolong junior, and we receive help for A-levels, just helping out for homework or exam tips ke, and also university admission help. So maybe getting your senior to look over your personal statement before you send it off to the university kan. So through this, I managed to create bonds and also create a network that I can bring with me throughout my university journey, and also now here in my career at the bank. So it's really easy once you know more people and you can liaise with people in different departments even. And as for the scholar development programs organized by Bank Negara, so this was particularly during the university admissions process. So for me personally, masa tu, I applied to both the US and the UK. So since I had two countries, I was able to attend scholar development programs for both kinds of admissions process. So for the UK, I attended personal statement writing workshops, and for the US, the bank organized SAT preparation workshops and also US admissions essay workshops. So these were really, really helpful in navigating the entire process, and through them, all the support that I received, I was lucky enough to be accepted to the University of Pennsylvania, UPenn.
Wow, that's of course a childhood dream school, right? Because for many, UPenn is like a Ivy League university, But I'm sure, like, other than just studies, like acing exam, there's more to life outside of classroom. So what has your experience been? How enriching was it being in a foreign land, the land of opportunity in the US, right? So how did you navigate those changes, and what did you learn from your experience?
I think studying abroad, one of the most immediate things you experience is culture shock, but it really does help having the scholar network to rely on, because everyone's going through the same experience and you all fly together. So when you compare experience and like share, you know that you feel a little less alone throughout this whole process. But once you get over that, it's really fun being abroad. So I had the amazing opportunity from an academic standpoint to learn from some of the top minds in their fields at university. And this was even outside the classroom, that I could interact with them through their office hours. So I had like more one-to-one experiences instead of only huge lecture halls where there's 100 people in the same room. And just from like a more fun standpoint, I was also able to travel around the US.
What were the places you went though, Alicia? I know travelling was a big part for me lah when I was in the UK. Kita dah penat jalan kat Malaysia kan, pusing-pusing Malaysia tangku je. So, did you go to some interesting places in the US?
Yeah, I know for the UK scholars that it's very different. You travel to different countries around Europe. But for the US, since the country is so big, I just stayed within it and traveled around. So I did states in both the East Coast and the West Coast. So places like New York City or Miami, Florida, or even San Francisco, California. Yeah.
I'm sure our friends out there are really eager and excited by all the travelling stories. But literally, I think Biasiswa Bank Negara Malaysia membuka peluang kepada adik-adik untuk teroka the world. Besides being in top university, kita dapat belajar daripada orang-orang kat luar sana, from the top universities, top professors, and bring back all this knowledge and experience to give back to our country and nation. Alright, so maybe I can just get Sue to share, because one interesting aspect of this scholarship adalah bila penerima scholarship Biasiswa Bank Negara Malaysia balik ke tanah air, mereka akan ditawarkan untuk bekerja di Bank Negara Malaysia sebagai seorang staff. In a way, it's a guaranteed employment lah kan, job stability. And being in the workforce kurang daripada setahun sejak Sue join Bank Negara Malaysia, apakah journey or experience yang Sue hadapi di tempat kerja dalam Bank Negara Malaysia? I'm sure ramai yang nak tahu. So we've learned about what it's like to be a scholar. What is it like to be working in Bank Negara Malaysia?
Yeah. Maybe I should start off by saying that I would like to congratulate everyone out there watching this webinar on completing your SPM. I'm sure it has been a very long and difficult journey for most of you, especially having to undergo 2 years of your studies in the pandemic. So congratulations for achieving such a great milestone in your life. Regarding my journey at the bank, I would like to say that I'm currently an associate economist at the Monetary Policy Department, so the Jabatan Dasar Monetary department in the bank. I've been at the bank for about 9 months now, and so far the journey has been a fulfilling one. But as a scholar, your journey at the bank doesn't just begin after you graduate. It actually starts during your years at university instead. So during my first year, I could still remember, so we were, internship is quite an important thing for most of us, and after my first year, I was thinking like, oh, where should I intern and all. So I actually interned at the bank during my first year. So as a scholar, what you As a scholar, you get the opportunity to apply for scholarships within the bank. There are, like Izwan mentioned earlier, there are many departments within the bank that you can choose from. So for me, I actually intern at the Financial Development and Innovation Department. So I actually learned a lot because that wasn't your typical department within the bank. It doesn't, I mean, it does a lot of the newer things, so like the digital banking, your buy now pay later,
More canggih stuff, right?
yeah, all the more canggih stuff that you see in headlines on Bloomberg, on FT, all these things. So the people at the bank is actually very friendly. As you saw from the pictures earlier, we actually I actually had lunch with my team, so with my manager and some of the more senior people at the bank. There's also like departmental lunch whereby you get to meet like everyone in the department. Of course, things are slightly different now because of the pandemic. This was before the pandemic, but as the economy is slowly opening up, when you join the bank next time, you will have like this sort of opportunities as well. Not so much on the let me move on from the internship to what I do on a daily basis. So as an economist at the bank, a lot of the things that we do involves researching and surveillance the greater macroeconomy of Malaysia. So how developments, domestic developments and also developments abroad impact our lives, and what are the things that we can do, and some of the policies that we come up with to improve the lives of everyone out there. So it's really about serving the nation, doing the greater good out there. Also, I would like to mention that at Bank Negara Malaysia, everyone here is very bright and brilliant. So by being part of the bank, by being part of the workforce, you get to work alongside many brilliant people out there. They have a lot to offer in terms of knowledge and in terms of experience. I'm pretty sure all my colleagues with me here can resonate with. Really just take this opportunity to learn as much as possible when you join the workforce. And one unique thing about the bank as well is really the multiple departments within the bank itself. So apart from the more traditional economic sector, the monetary stability sector of the bank, you do have financial stability as well, whereby if you're more keen on like regulation work, on consumer protection, these are some of the departments that you can join. There's also what I mentioned earlier, the more forefront of the digital economy. So things like regulation in terms of fintech, in terms of digital banking, in terms of buy now pay later. So if you're interested in like these things, so these are some of the departments that you can join upon graduating.
I think maybe an interesting point Sue mentioned was that like everyone at the bank is very brilliant. Tapi I remember when I first joined the bank, I was very scared because I felt maybe it's like imposter syndrome also, like you feel very inferior kan. Tapi I think a point to make is that everyone at the bank is very, very helpful, and we feel like we're a family, especially within the departments and also inter-departments. So everyone will be there for you throughout your learning process, and they'll definitely see you through everything lah. So jangan risau, kita semua, we all start somewhere. So that's just the point I wanted to make lah.
I think that's something that's very comforting, knowing, I think entering the workforce, especially at a very young age, fresh out of from university, it can be a very menakutkan lah, experience yang quite horror kan. Tapi knowing, good to know that you guys went through pretty smooth sailing journey. But I just want to touch a bit on Sue's point earlier. You talk about the universal central banking, right? There are 40 departments in the bank across 7 sectors. So is it like, do you work with people outside of your own domain? Contohnya Sue dalam jabatan dasar monetary, dapatkah Sue bekerja dengan, for now you have like digital banking or like buy now pay later. So do you get to explore different parts of the bank and enrich your experience more. And because people, I think the younger generations kat luar sana nak tahu boleh tak dia explore different parts of the banks. So is that available in Bank Negara Malaysia?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that at the bank, there are definitely a lot of opportunities out there that potential applicants can explore once you're part of the scholarship and you're part of the bank. For me personally, because I'm in the monetary policy department, I do work a lot with other teams within the bank. So I work closely with the economics department. So even within JDM itself, we do have a lot of working with different teams. So for example, with the inflation team, with the fiscal team. So within the bank in general, we don't work in silos. It's always about teamwork, working together with other teams. There are also a lot of projects within the bank that requires cross-departmental what do you call that?
Projects.
Yeah. So a lot of synergies involved with other departments as well. So for those of you who are interested in exploring different parts of the bank, we do have this new program called the Kijang Graduate Program, whereby applicants will be rotated across the different sectors in the bank. So you do a rotation of 6 months in each sector. So one of the sectors is the monetary stability sector, the other sector is the financial stability sector, and then you have the corporate management sector. So you spend 6 months in each sector to really see what are the things that you enjoy doing, and so if you are keen to explore some of that, definitely apply for the scholarship, as well as to people who are out there who are also looking for employment opportunities. So the KGP or the Kijang Graduate Program is also something that you can look at.
I think that's very interesting to know. I think, like I mentioned earlier, the younger generations are pretty impatient and they want to try new things. This is the generational difference that we experience, and it's good that the bank itself is accommodating to this different one of the younger generation. Before we move on, I'd like to remind penonton di luar sana yang ingin bertanyakan sebarang soalan untuk tim dan panelis kat depan sini secara live, kemukakan soalan anda di ruangan komen di Facebook Live atau LinkedIn Live. We will read your comments and we will respond to them. If we don't respond in the live now, we will respond it to later. So make sure to get your questions in. Earlier we did actually open a question box in Instagram, and we did receive some questions. So maybe I can ask these questions to the panelists now, since you guys are here. So maybe I can get either one of you to answer this question. The question is that so now we are at the application system process, and once they get to the assessment center, the interview itself, so what was it like? What was the most challenging part of it, and what are the assessors looking for in candidates? Maybe I can get Haikal to answer that question.
Sure. So when you get to the assessment stage nanti, there will be a few stages, but if I remember correctly, there will be a group stage and also an individual stage. It's very important nanti masa group stage tu for you to balance yourself within the team. Jangan kita je nak menonjol and jangan kita tenggelam sangat. So I remember during my time, masa kita orang dekat group stage tu, one of our assessors during the feedback session, dia ada bagi tahu like some people yang a bit too dominant, dia kata okay, you should bagi ruangan kepada orang lain untuk shine also, and not be too imposing of your leadership also. And they also encourage those yang macam takut sikit untuk nak bersuara to like speak up and like take charge of the room also. So the assessors saya rasa memang nak tengok how well you take this feedback and also internalize it, and how well you can cope with the stressful circumstances that they give you lah. But also I think during the individual stage there will be like, I think, a presentation and also an interview. But most importantly, I would like to stress during the interview is for you to be very personal with the assessors. Jangan goreng sangat lah, sebab memang they can see through you. Just be personal and be yourself, be genuine. They really want to learn more about you, and what you can contribute to the bank. Yeah.
I think that's a really useful tip because I'm sure people out there, the kids, they did really well for SPM, but studying is a different skill set than actually attending technically a job interview because you will get a job at Negara.
Yep.
So it's a very important event and you only have one day to make an impression. So given this, the huge pressure into attending the assessment semua, maybe people are wondering what would be a good source of reference, kat mana dia boleh baca tentang Bank Negara Malaysia, apa Bank Negara Malaysia buat, what they can do, how they can contribute. So maybe Sue, you can share what are the some reliable sources of information in which students can read and refer in preparation, not just to attend the Bank Negara Scholarship, but generally the principle that they should what they should do to go through this process.
I think personally for me, back then when I was applying, it was definitely a very daunting process because I knew nothing about the bank, I knew nothing about the courses that they offered. Yeah, so one thing to really note is to go to the bank's website, as I mentioned earlier, so at the www.bnm.gov.my and then /careers and then /scholarship. Yeah, so that's a useful point a useful starting point. Apart from that, we also live in the digital age now, so things are a bit more available across the internet. So if you just go on Google, you just type Kijang Scholarship. There are resources out there by past scholars that shared their experience, whether they're successful or not, successful and also unsuccessful applicants sharing their experience at during the program itself. I remember one of the websites that I used was College Lah. That website contains personal statements to help applicants to go to university, but I think there's also one section whereby bank scholars, past and present, who actually shared the experience with the application process. So that is one of the useful points. Maybe to touch a bit on what Haikal mentioned earlier about the scholarship, about the assessment center, right? Personally, I think the assessment center is supposed to mimic how the candidate perform in the future when they join the task force, when they join the workforce. So it's really the case that when you're part of the workforce, there will be a lot of brilliant people that you will be working with. So it is important for you to keep an open mind, to listen to what people have to offer. So of course, as someone who newly joined the bank, you feel that you feel inadequate, you don't have enough knowledge or experience, to offer something meaningful. But actually, that is where you can leverage on being someone new. Like some people have been already in the bank for so long. They see things that we see things that they don't see, and really to work together. Like teamwork is really important when it comes to coming up with like policies and all. There's no like I in a team, so like you really have to work together with others.
I just nak tambah point yang Sue made earlier about learning from other people. I think when you attend this sort of interview assessment center, not just for Bank Negara Scholarship but any other sponsor out there, I think it's a good tip for adik-adik untuk take this opportunity to make friends. I think besides learning from the panel, they can also learn from their peers, and who knows, you might make friends and become like long time companion with some of them, and get to exchange contacts and build the relationship early, because that's the reality of it lah. Now that you finish school, you can build connection and it might help you in the future. So before we move on, I would like again to remind anyone yang nak submit soalan, boleh kumpulkan soalan anda di ruangan komen di Facebook Live atau di LinkedIn Live. Kita ada few questions yang kita terima di Instagram masa kita buka the comment box. Maybe I can share some of these questions that are in the students' mind. For example, can I check the status of my application. So unfortunately, due to the large volume of applications, we receive maybe like 2,000 applicants every year, and it's impossible for us to actually update each and everyone's status within this short time period of like two weeks, right? So we will contact those who are shortlisted. So if we don't hear back from us, kalau tak ada any komunikasi daripada team, kita boleh assume yang the application cannot progress further. Tapi ingin saya ingatkan adik-adik luar sana yang telah apply untuk check email setiap hari, kalau boleh setiap jam, sebab time is of essence, and make sure to check your spam folder, your junk folder. Those emails might appear there. You don't want to miss this very important email. So that's one question that we receive. Next, people have been asking what if I don't meet the requirements once they become a bank scholar. So throughout the journey of being a scholar, the bank will strive to provide the necessary support. As mentioned by Alicia, we give you extra classes to do university admission, to help you for SAT tests, and so on and so forth. And as with any scholarship out there there are requirements to meet. Ada beberapa kriteria yang perlu ditepati, and kalau tak tepat, then there will be some consequences. But we will try to help you along the journey. I think that's the whole point that we want to make. It's not just about bank giving you money for you to enjoy, go travel, cover your tuition, but it's also all the additional support that we make sure you receive. Next, ada orang juga tanya because courses are limited, and sometimes dia nak ubah fikiran, they want to change courses midway, and I know macam Alicia shared earlier, how you were supposed to do econs, but then your interest at that time was to do political science, so you pursued your own interest, and the bank is very supportive. Bank is very supportive of that. But if you want to change your the core course, the way we design the allocation of scholarship is based on business need of the bank. Contohnya, kita dapat projection berapa ramai ekonomis yang kita perlukan, orang yang ada accounting, finance background, and law. So we try to stick to it very strictly. Tetapi any changes tu kita boleh still consider, subject to management's approval, of course. And then also another very interesting question that we always get is that, can you pursue your master studies under the Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship? Yes, the bank is very supportive of lifelong education. I know many of my colleagues in Bank Negara Malaysia who have a PhD, who have even gone through PhD, multiple from degree, masters, and then PhD ada, and the bank is very supportive. However, under the Kijang and under the Undergraduate Sarjana Muda, Biasiswa Sarjana Muda, kita tak galakkan and tak akan benarkan kalau pemegang mahasiswa nak sambung terus. Kita akan suruh pemegang mahasiswa balik dulu and serve the bank. And I think this is actually a good thing, because if you want to pursue a postgrad, a very specialized course or subject matter, you need to understand the business need. Kenapa nak study? Bukannya for the sake of, I have a master's or PhD. But when you experience working life, from personal experience, then you know what is required, how that master's or additional postgrad degree will help you. It will add more value to your application. A lot, I think, MBA or other postgrad scholarship, they value working experience even more than good grades in degree program, and I'm sure you will agree with that. So there is an option. We have other part of scholarships. We have staff scholarship for staff who are working in the bank to apply, and we even support families going for scholarship. So again, the bank is very supportive of staff pursuing the education. But unfortunately, these two scholarships that we are talking today are strictly only for that programs that you apply to, end to end. Okay, I think we are nearing almost to the end of the webinar. Before we end, saya nak tanya soalan yang mungkin saya rasa interesting jugalah. What would you tell your 18-year-old self, because you talk to 18-year-olds, based on your experience going through over 5-6 years, what would you tell your 18-year-old self? What have you learned from the journey so far? So maybe we can start with Haikal.
Sure. Wow, this is kind of nostalgic, me talking to my younger self. I think I will say to the mini Haikal, be confident in yourself. It might be that you don't know a lot of things, tapi you have a lot of time to learn and also search and research. It's not a race, it's a marathon. Always remember that the end goal is for you to, the end goal is what you want to achieve, and also everything happens for a reason. That's the motto that I really stand by in my life. Just because something doesn't go your way in the beginning doesn't mean that it's a failure. Inshallah, there will always be a plan for you. The universe will always have a plan for you. Just be persistent, confident in yourself, and inshallah everything will go well.
Haikal, there's actually a specific question to you from one of the viewers.
Okay.
Let me read it to you. Assalamualaikum. Izinkan saya bertanya, seperti yang Abang Haikal katakan, Abang Haikal, Abang ambil pure science during high school. So macam mana Abang handle soalan-soalan dan masalah yang interview berikan during group stage dalam keadaan tak ambil subjek yang berkaitan dengan ekonomi?
Okay, thank you for the question. Siapa yang tanya tu. As I said earlier tadi, make sure buat research awal, start early and do a lot of research on the course that you want to apply to. Macam saya cakap tadi, I was really into medicine at that time, tapi saya apply untuk econs. So saya buat banyak research untuk econs, and saya, as I think Sue also mentioned tadi, you have to reach out to other people, right? So leverage on the people that you know, on the people that have the expertise, discuss with your friends. And I think just to point out, the bank staff masa tu, as your assessors, they don't expect you to be experts in the field lah, because you know you just came out of high school kan, macam still don't know what you want to do at that point in time. So at least cover the basics, but make sure you do your research lah, and be confident again. Yep. Thank you for the question again.
Thank you Abang Haikal. Soalan tu ditanya oleh saudara Umar Abdul Majid. Okay, hopefully that answers. I think it's a good answer.
Hi Umar.
There's actually another question that came in our comment box. Maybe I can get Alicia to answer this question. How do you make a good essay for the scholarship application?
Advice that I would give to potential applicants is a well-researched essay is the best. Like Sue mentioned, you do want to read up about the bank and know about the functions, the mandate, things like that. And this will further firm up your understanding and how you're going to answer questions like why Bank Negara, things like that. You can't craft a good essay if you don't really know what you're talking about. Another piece of advice is like, be genuine. Like Haikal said earlier, don't goreng so much. The volume of applications is huge, and the people who are assessing these things have a lot of experience, and I'm sure they'll be able to tell when you don't really mean the things that you're writing down. Yeah.
Maybe the second part, Alicia, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Oh, okay. I think I would say that growth is uncomfortable, and sometimes you have to step outside of your comfort zone in order to have some positive change in yourself, or even a stepping stone to bigger and better things. It's not always smooth sailing, and it's really important to have a good support system around you to help pick you back up, and to help each other along the way and build you all up. Yeah.
Yeah, before we move on to Sue, I would like just to add on a bit on the question on essay tu kan, because of course, yeah, you guys are 17-year-olds, but pretty sure, you know, throughout perjalanan adik di sekolah, ada pengalaman, experience yang boleh diceritakan dalam essay tu. And we like personal essays. We like essays where you show apa lessons yang adik dah belajar daripada leadership position. This is your chance to show your leadership position subtly in the essay. I think that's also a good tip that we can give to viewers who will be applying. So yeah, last but not least, poster boy Sue, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Maybe before I talk about like what I tell my 18-year-old self, I'll touch a bit more on the part on the essay. So I think one of the most important thing is we don't know you, right? Like, so when you submit your application, it's only your name and like your results and what are the positions that you have held in school. So really the essay is is for the bank to know you on a more personal level. So what kind of a person you are, you know, what are the things that you have done in uni, and how those experiences can then be be used, for you to apply in like your A levels or for work in general. What kind of a person you are, whether you're a good fit for the organization, because that means a lot to the bank as an organization, whether you're a good fit for us or not. As for what I would tell my 18-year-old self is really like what Alicia mentioned earlier, something similar along the lines is really to try new things. For someone who just completed the SPM, it is a very intimidating process, to apply for scholarships. You think that you're competing with like a lot of people who are very brilliant out there. You're still very unfamiliar with a lot of things. When I look back, it has been quite a journey, and there's been ups and downs, and I enjoyed like every part of it because it allows you to grow as a person. So for an 18-year-old me, is really just to try everything out there, even though you feel that you might not, your chances of getting a scholarship isn't high. Like, still give it a shot, because that's the more important part. Getting it or not is really beyond your control, and there are a lot of factors at play. But if you don't apply the first place, and if you don't try, like your chances of getting it is really 0% from the start. So really, just to not take failure too seriously, because you fail many times throughout your life. I've applied for scholarships as well, like hingga, where I didn't get it. Like I didn't make it past the first stage, or like halfway through they found that I'm not a good fit. And that's okay, because that's part and parcel of life. So really just to reiterate is to give it your best shot. Like, try everything out there. Give it your best shot. Research thoroughly. Speak to people. That's what I'll tell my 18-year-old self if I had the opportunity.
Thanks.
Thank
I
you.
think all of you shared very good personal experience, quite philosophical, but I think it's good retrospecting, looking back at things. Another question that we got from DM Instagram is there a quota to this scholarship? How many do we give? Do we set aside for certain group of economic standing? The answer is no. The scholarship is based on meritocracy. We look at the capability, but then we try to ensure that there is some sort of fair distribution of the scholarship to different people to give opportunities. So, for example, we know that maybe some students from T20 families may have access to different resources that may help them have a good chance of getting a scholarship, but we weigh this with other options. For example, a student from a rural area but show potential, capability and good fit to Bank Negara Malaysia, we do consider. So please do not hesitate to apply. Like Sue said, if you don't try, then you don't know where you stand. You fail multiple times, but it's good to just try, and when you try, you learn, right? And when you fail, you learn also. So please try your best. Kalau nak senang, just imbas je QR code kat sini, untuk apply membership scholarship. It's so easy. You can just take your phone now and apply. You can even apply on the phone if you can type your essay on your phone. So thank you again to all the panelists. Kita telah menghampiri almost sejam bersiaran selangsung di Studio Kijang dan Sarmaya di Facebook Live dan LinkedIn Live. We really hope that all of you learn a lot from this webinar. This recording will be posted, and please, if you know anyone who might benefit from this sharing info and tips, please do share around, get the words around. And like to remind all of you guys who want to know more perkembangan terkini, info terkini mengenai Bank Negara Malaysia, scholars, get to know our scholars, please check us out on social media. Follow us at Instagram, Twitter, Telegram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and soon TikTok. So that's all from us today. Thank you panelists, and we wish all of you the best in your journey. So Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Good luck.